The dinner rush at Bella's Corner Café had just ended when Amara Washington made a decision that would change her life forever. She had $8.47 in her bank account, a stomach growling from skipping lunch, and a teenager outside the window who looked like he hadn't eaten in days. What she didn't know was that the security cameras were recording everything, and within 24 hours, this moment would explode across the internet with over 2 million views. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness reveal the biggest truths about humanity. The setting: Phoenix, Arizona. Bella's Corner Café. 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. Amara Washington sat in booth 7, the same cracked vinyl seat she'd occupied every Tuesday night for the past 3 months. The cafe was nearly empty now, just old Mr. Chen nursing his green tea at the counter and 2 nursing students cramming for exams in the corner booth. The waitress, Lorraine, approached with a notepad. She had kind eyes, silver-streaked hair, and hands that showed decades of hard work. "What'll it be tonight, sweetheart?" Amara ordered the same thing every Tuesday: scrambled eggs, wheat toast, and water. The cheapest meal on the menu at $6.95. "The usual, please," Amara said quietly, sliding crumpled bills and coins across the table. "Exactly $7.50. Enough for the meal and a small tip." Lorraine smiled sadly. She'd watched Amara's situation deteriorate over the past months. The designer purse replaced by a worn canvas bag. Business clothes giving way to faded jeans and stretched sweaters. The dark circles under Amara's eyes that no concealer could hide. The way her hands trembled when counting money. As Lorraine turned to place the order, Amara stared out the rain-streaked window. Rain in Phoenix was rare, especially in November, but tonight it fell in steady sheets. That's when she saw him. The boy in the rain. A teenage boy stood under a broken streetlight across from the cafe. Maybe 16, maybe 17. His clothes were soaked through, hanging off his thin frame. Gray hoodie, jeans too big, sneakers with soles separating. No jacket. No backpack. No phone. Nothing. But it was his eyes that stopped Amara's breath. She'd seen that look before, in her own mirror 7 years ago when she'd aged out of foster care with nowhere to go. That hollow, desperate look of someone invisible for too long. Someone who'd learned not to ask for help because help never came. The boy's gaze fixed on the cafe window, watching the warm glow, the people eating. His hand touched his stomach briefly before falling back, as if acknowledging hunger was shameful. Amara looked at her own trembling hands. Fired from her job 6 weeks ago. Severance gone. 5 days behind on rent. First eviction warning yesterday. Car repossessed. This $6.95 meal would be her only food until Friday's interview, 2 days away. The smart thing would be to eat her meal, preserve her strength, take care of herself first. That's what any reasonable person would do. But Amara had never been good at being reasonable when someone else was hurting. The impossible decision. "Lorraine," Amara called out, her voice cracking. Lorraine turned, confused. "Yes, honey. Can I change my order?" "I already put it in, sweetheart. Giuseppe's probably cracking the eggs now." "That's okay. I want the Southwest Burger Deluxe instead. With extra fries. Onion rings. And a large vanilla milkshake. Extra whipped cream." Lorraine's eyebrows shot up. That was $14.95. Nearly twice Amara's usual order. "Sweetheart, are you sure?" "I'm sure." "Make it to go, please." What Lorraine didn't know was that Amara had just decided to spend her emergency fund. The $20 bill hidden in her wallet. Money she'd been saving for absolute disasters. Money for bus fare to Friday's interview in Scottsdale, 20 miles away. Without it, she'd have to walk. 4 hours each way. But she'd figure something out. She always did. "See that boy out there?" Amara said quietly. Lorraine looked. Her expression shifted to understanding. "Oh, honey. You're not thinking. He needs it more than I do. Amara, when's the last time you ate? Yesterday, Amara lied. Day before yesterday. Some crackers and an apple. Lorraine reached across and took her hand. You can't save everyone, honey. Not when you're drowning yourself. I'm not drowning. I have an interview Friday. If I get it, I'll be okay. And if you don't because you're too weak from hunger? Amara pulled her hand back gently. That boy doesn't even have an interview to hope for. Please, Lorraine. Just make the order. Lorraine sighed deeply. You're either the kindest person I've ever met or the most foolish. Maybe both. Probably both, Amara agreed. 15 minutes later, Lorraine returned with a warm paper bag fragrant with grilled beef and fresh fries. The vanilla milkshake sat topped with whipped cream and a cherry. That'll be $15.89 with tax. Amara counted out her money with shaking fingers. The $7.50 for her meal. The $20 from emergency savings. She received $11.61 in change. That was everything she had left until something changed. Every head in the cafe turned to watch as Amara stood, carrying food for 3 people. The woman who ordered the cheapest meal, who'd grown thinner each visit, now with enough food to feed a family. Lorraine caught her arm. Amara, where are you going? Amara nodded toward the window. There's someone who needs this more than I do. Do you know him? No. Then why? Because someone helped me once when I had nothing. This is me paying it forward. Before Lorraine could respond, Amara pushed through the door into the cold rain. The encounter. The boy had moved closer, standing just outside the neon glow. Up close, Amara could see he was younger than she thought. 15, maybe. Baby-faced under the dirt in exhaustion. Excuse me, Amara said softly, approaching slowly. The boy's head snapped up, eyes wide with fear. He stepped back. It's okay, Amara said quickly. I got too much food. The cafe messed up my order. I was wondering if you might want some. I hate waste. A kind lie. They both knew it. But it preserved dignity. The boy stared at the bag. His Adam's apple bobbed. His hands trembled. I can't pay you, he whispered hoarsely. I don't want payment. I just don't want you to be hungry. The connection. Inside, Lorraine pressed against the window and grabbed her phone, recording with shaking hands. Tears blurred her vision. Mr. Chen stood to watch. The nursing students abandoned their textbooks. Outside, the boy finally took the bag with both hands. The moment his fingers closed around it, something broke. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with rain. Thank you, he choked out. I haven't, it's been 4 days since I. He couldn't finish. What's your name? Amara asked gently. Devin. Devin Mitchell. I'm Amara. Amara Washington. She pulled off her jacket, her only warm one, and held it out. Please take this too. No, ma'am, I can't, you need. Devin, I have a warm apartment to go back to. Another kind lie. Her apartment was barely heated. You need it more. Devin, I have a warm apartment to go back to. Another kind lie. Her apartment was barely heated. You need it more. Devin stared at the jacket like it was made of gold. Slowly, reverently, he took it and put it on. Too small, but warm and dry. He wrapped it around himself and sobbed. Why are you doing this? Devin asked. You don't even know me. Nobody ever. Amara stepped closer and pulled him into a hug. This scared, cold, hungry boy who probably couldn't remember the last kind touch. Devin clung to her, shaking with sobs. Because you matter, Devin, Amara whispered. Because you're not invisible. Because someone did this for me once and saved my life. That's why. They stood in the rain, 2 strangers no longer strangers, connected by simple human compassion. The witnesses. Inside, Lorraine recorded everything through tears. Mr. Chen wiped his eyes, remembering kindness from strangers when he'd arrived from Vietnam with nothing. Taylor, one of the nursing students, filmed too, uploading to TikTok. I just witnessed the most beautiful act of kindness. This woman gave away what looked like her last meal to a homeless teenager. She gave him her jacket. She hugged him. This is what real love looks like. Phoenix, Arizona. Bella's Corner Café. If anyone knows this woman, she's an angel. Broken heart, red heart, hashtag faith in humanity restored. Within seconds, engagement exploded. Within minutes, others posted their recordings. Within an hour, it would spread across Phoenix. By morning, national news. But none of them knew that yet. The aftermath. Amara pulled back, hands on Devin's shoulders. Where are you staying tonight? Devin looked down, ashamed. Under the overpass on Camelback Road. By the rail yard. It's dry enough. Amara's heart shattered. Do you have family? Anyone I can call? Been on my own 10 months. Foster care went bad. Had to leave. No family that wants me. This was her story with a different face. Listen carefully, Amara said firmly. This isn't forever. You're going to get through this. I did. Others did. You will too. Promise me you'll hold on. Devin nodded, unable to speak. There's a youth shelter on Washington Street. New Horizons Center. Know it? They're full. Tried last week. Try tomorrow morning. Early. 6 a.m. Spots open overnight. Ask for Maria Gonzalez. Tell her Amara Washington sent you. She'll remember me. I stayed there at 18. Devin's eyes widened. You were homeless too? Exactly where you are. That's how I know you'll survive. Promise you'll go. I promise, Miss Amara. The kindness multiplies. Amara stepped back, wrapping her arms against the cold. Without her jacket, rain soaked through immediately. She started shivering but tried to hide it. Thank you, Devin said, clutching the bag. I'll never forget this. When things get better, I'll pay this back. Don't pay it back. Pay it forward. That's how we change the world. Amara turned toward the cafe. Lorraine met her with a towel. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Lorraine said, mascara running. It was just a burger, Amara said, but her stomach growled loudly. Lorraine studied her face. Was that your dinner? Amara tried to smile. I wasn't hungry anyway. How long since you ate? Truth. Day before yesterday. Crackers and an apple. Lord have mercy. When's your next meal? Amara couldn't answer. Lorraine marched to the kitchen. Giuseppe. Another Southwest Burger Deluxe. Extra everything. Quick. And soup. And chocolate cake. Lorraine, no, I can't. You can and you will. On the house. Sit down before you fall. Mr. Chen walked over, placing a $20 bill on the table. For bus fare. Don't argue. I came here with nothing. People helped me. Now I help you. Taylor and her study partner approached. We saw what you did. They placed $40 on the table together. Amara stared through tears. $40 plus her remaining $11.61. She had $51.61 now. I don't understand. What you did, Mr. Chen said, voice gruff with emotion, that's the America I want to believe in. That's the humanity we need. Lorraine returned with a plate piled high. Burger, fries, soup, salad, huge chocolate slice. Now eat. Every bite. The viral moment. What Amara didn't know was that Taylor's TikTok was exploding. 5,000 views in 30 minutes. 15,000 by the time she finished soup. 50,000 by the last bite of cake. Comments poured in. I'm literally sobbing at my desk. This is what real love looks like. That woman is an actual angel. Someone find her. She gave away her last meal. She needed that food. Someone identify that diner. Help both of them. Local Phoenix news picked it up by midnight. Morning shows would feature it. National news by noon. But Amara, walking home through rain with $51.61 in her pocket and a full stomach, had no idea her life was about to change forever. She thought about Devin, hoped he'd find warmth and that Maria would have shelter space. She thought about Friday's interview, feeling hope now that she had bus fare. She thought about her apartment, the past due rent, the uncertainty. But mostly, she thought about Devin's eyes transforming from desperation to hope. The way he'd hugged her like she'd proven someone cared whether he lived or died. That was worth every sacrifice. Worth the hunger, the cold, the uncertainty. That moment of connection was worth everything. The cliffhanger. What Amara couldn't know, what millions of viewers wouldn't know, was that Devin Mitchell wasn't just any homeless teenager. And the next morning, when a stretch limousine would pull up at Bella's Corner Café looking for Amara Washington, the world would discover that sometimes the people we help are exactly the people who transform our lives in return. Sometimes giving away your last meal plants seeds that grow into forests. Sometimes the smallest kindness creates ripples that reach further than oceans. The security footage would be played millions of times. Amara's face would become known nationwide. Her compassion would spark a movement, inspire legislation, and remind a cynical world that goodness still existed. But first, there would be a limousine. And a truth about Devin Mitchell that would shock everyone. And proof that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Amara woke up Wednesday morning to her phone buzzing incessantly. She'd charged it at the library yesterday, and now it vibrated against her nightstand like an angry wasp. 12 missed calls. 47 text messages. Her social media notifications had maxed out at 99 plus. Her heart hammered. Had something happened to Devin? Was he okay? She grabbed the phone with trembling hands and opened the first text. It was from her old coworker, Sandra. Amara. You're viral. You're all over the news. Call me now. The next text was from her cousin in Tucson. Saw you on the morning show. So proud. What's happening? Amara's hands shook as she opened TikTok. The first video on her feed made her gasp. It was her. Outside Bella's Café. Handing Devin the food. Giving him her jacket. Hugging him in the rain. The video had 3.2 million views. The caption read, "This woman gave her last meal to a homeless teen. Phoenix Angel restores faith in humanity." Comments flooded the screen. I've watched this 20 times and I'm still crying. Someone start a GoFundMe for this woman immediately. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She took off her own jacket in the rain. She's shivering. She's an actual saint. Amara sat on her mattress, stunned. She'd given a hungry boy some food. That was it. That was all she'd done. How had this become this? Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press accept. Hello? Is this Amara Washington? A professional woman's voice, crisp and urgent. Yes, who's? Miss Washington, this is Caroline Martinez from Channel 12 News Phoenix. We'd love to have you on our morning segment today. We can send a car in 30 minutes. Would you be available? I don't think. Good Morning America is also trying to reach you. CNN called our station. Miss Washington, your story is national news. People want to hear from you. Amara's head spun. I just gave someone food. That's all I did. You gave away your last meal when you were starving yourself. That's not nothing, Miss Washington. That's everything. Before Amara could respond, there was a knock on her apartment door. Loud, insistent. I have to go, she told Caroline and hung up. She approached the door cautiously. "Who is it?" "Miss Washington. I'm from NBC Phoenix. We'd like to talk to you about." Another knock from a different direction. Her neighbor's voice, "Amara. There are reporters in the hallway. What's going on?" Amara leaned against the door, overwhelmed. This couldn't be happening. She just tried to help someone. She hadn't wanted attention. She certainly hadn't wanted this. Her phone rang again. This time, it was Lorraine from the cafe. "Amara, honey, you need to get down here right now." "Lorraine, what's happening?" "I can't leave my apartment, there are reporters." "I know, sweetie. They're here too. But that's not why you need to come. There's a limousine outside." "A limousine, Amara. And someone's asking for you." Amara's heart stopped. "Who?" "He won't say. Just keeps asking if we know how to reach you. Says it's urgent. Says it's about last night. Did Devin, is he okay? Just get here, honey. Trust me." The limousine. Amara threw on the cleanest clothes she had, the jeans from last night, now dry, and a plain gray sweatshirt. She pulled her hair back, washed her face, and slipped out the back entrance of her apartment building to avoid the reporters in the front. The 3-mile walk to Bella's Café took 40 minutes. By the time she arrived, her feet ached and her breath came in gasps. But nothing could have prepared her for what she saw. A gleaming black stretch limousine was parked directly in front of the cafe. Not just any limousine, the kind that had tinted windows, chrome accents, and probably cost more than Amara would make in 5 years. News vans surrounded it. Reporters with cameras. A growing crowd of curious onlookers with phones out, filming everything. Lorraine stood by the cafe entrance, waving frantically when she spotted Amara. "There you are. Come on, quickly." Amara pushed through the crowd. "Lorraine, what's going on? Who's in that car?" Before Lorraine could answer, the limousine door opened. A man in an expensive charcoal suit stepped out first. Tall, distinguished, maybe 60 years old with silver hair and the bearing of someone used to authority. He scanned the crowd with sharp eyes until they landed on Amara. "Miss Washington," he called out. Amara nodded, unable to speak. "My name is Richard Carver. I'm the executive assistant to Mr. Devin Mitchell." Amara's confusion must have shown on her face because Richard smiled slightly. "Not the Devin you met last night." "His grandfather. Devin Mitchell Sr., CEO of Mitchell Technologies." The name hit Amara like a physical blow. Mitchell Technologies. One of the largest tech companies in the Southwest. Billions in revenue. A household name. "I don't understand," Amara whispered. "Perhaps it would be better if Mr. Mitchell explained himself." Richard gestured to the limousine. "He's asked to speak with you personally. And he's brought someone who very much wants to see you again." The crowd pressed closer, phones recording every second. From the limousine emerged a second figure. Clean, dressed in new clothes that actually fit, hair washed and trimmed, face scrubbed clean. Devin. But not the Devin from last night. This Devin looked healthy, cared for, like a different person. He still had the same eyes though, the same eyes that had looked at her with such desperate gratitude in the rain. "Miss Amara," Devin said, his voice thick with emotion. "I tried to tell you last night. I tried to explain, but I couldn't find the words." An elderly man emerged from the limousine next. Late 70s, impeccably dressed in a 3-piece suit, leaning on a cane but with eyes that blazed with intelligence and purpose. Devin Mitchell Sr. The resemblance was unmistakable. This was Devin's grandfather. The truth revealed. "Miss Washington," Devin Sr. said, his voice carrying authority that silenced the murmuring crowd. "My grandson tells me you saved his life last night." Amara shook her head. "I just gave him food. That's all." "You gave him much more than food." The old man's eyes were wet. "You gave him hope. You gave him proof that kindness still exists in this world." Do you know what he was planning to do last night before you found him? Amara's stomach dropped. Devin looked down, shame coloring his face. I was going to jump off the overpass, he whispered. After 4 days without food, sleeping in the cold, being invisible to everyone. I was going to end it. That's why I was standing outside the cafe. I was saying goodbye to warm places, to food, to everything. I was going to walk to the bridge and... He couldn't finish. Amara felt tears streaming down her face. Devin, no. But then you came out, Devin continued, his voice breaking. And you looked at me like I was a person. Like I mattered. You gave me food when you were starving. You gave me your jacket when you were cold. You hugged me like I was worth something. Poverty is invisible. Stop filming acts of kindness for likes and actually perform them. Give money, give time, give attention, give a damn. There are thousands of Devins out there right now, Amara continued, her voice rising with passion. Teenagers with no homes. Families living in cars. Veterans sleeping under bridges. People who've been made invisible by a society that's too busy to care. You want to change the world? Start with the person everyone else is ignoring. The crowd erupted in applause. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed like stars exploding. Devin Sr. smiled, tears running down his weathered face. When can you start? Amara thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Today. Right now. There's a youth shelter that needs funding. An overpass where people are sleeping in the cold. A food bank that's running low. Let's go. Richard, Devin Sr. said to his assistant. Cancel everything on my calendar. Liquidate whatever you need to. We have work to do. Devin stepped forward and hugged Amara tightly. Thank you, he whispered. For everything. For seeing me. For saving me. Thank you for reminding me why I survived, Amara whispered back. For giving my suffering purpose. 6 months later, epilogue. The Amara initiative transformed Phoenix's approach to homelessness. Within 6 months, 3 new youth shelters opened, fully funded. 200 aged-out foster youth received full scholarships. Street outreach teams quadrupled, with Devin personally leading weekly missions. A job training program placed 200 formerly homeless individuals in permanent employment. Other cities began copying the model. Amara Washington became the face of compassionate action, not because she sought attention, but because she'd shown what one person could do with nothing but conviction. Devin Mitchell Jr. never returned to his old life of privilege. He lived modestly, worked constantly, and kept a picture on his desk of the rainy night outside Bella's Café, the night he'd been ready to give up and a stranger had given him reasons to live. Devin Sr. restructured his entire company around the principle he'd learned from Amara: true success is measured not by what you keep but by what you give away. Lorraine framed the viral video and hung it in Bella's Café with a plaque, the last meal that changed everything. November 12th. The night compassion went viral. Mr. Chen started a community fund at the cafe where customers could add money for homeless individuals. It never ran out because people kept contributing. Taylor, the nursing student who'd filmed the original video, changed her major to social work and became the Amara Initiative's youngest outreach coordinator. But the most important change happened in individual hearts. People who watched the video started looking at homeless individuals differently. Started seeing humans instead of problems. Started understanding that everyone has a story, everyone has worth, everyone deserves dignity. The video of Amara and Devin was viewed over 50 million times. It won humanitarian awards. It was shown in schools, churches, and corporate training sessions as an example of genuine compassion. But Amara never watched it. She didn't need to. She'd lived it. And now she was living the aftermath, the beautiful, exhausting, purposeful work of turning one moment of kindness into a movement. The final scene. On the 6-month anniversary of that rainy November night, Amara and Devin returned to Bella's Café. They sat in booth 7, the same cracked vinyl seat where it had all started. Lorraine brought them coffee and pie. On the house. Always. You changed the world, you know, Lorraine said, sliding into the booth. That one moment. That one choice. Amara shook her head. I just gave someone food. You gave someone hope, Devin corrected. You gave someone proof that they mattered. That's everything. Through the window, they could see the spot where they'd met. Where a desperate boy and a desperate woman had found each other in the rain. Where kindness had bloomed in the darkness like a flower breaking through concrete. Do you ever regret it? Devin asked. Giving away your last meal? The sacrifice? Amara smiled, squeezing his hand. Not for a single second. You know why? Why? Because I learned that night what I'd forgotten during all those hard months. That we're not measured by what we have, but by what we're willing to give away. That the smallest acts of love can save lives. That being broke financially doesn't mean being broken spiritually. She looked out at the street, at the city she was helping transform. I gave away a burger and got back purpose. I gave away a jacket and got back meaning. I gave away my last $15 and got back my reason for living. Sometimes, Amara said softly, you have to lose everything to find out what really matters. And what really matters is each other. Just, each other. Devin raised his coffee cup. To last meals that become first chances. Amara clinked her cup against his. To strangers who become family. Outside, the Phoenix sun set in brilliant oranges and purples, painting the desert sky with color. Inside Bella's Café, in booth 7, two people who'd saved each other sat together, planning their next outreach mission, their next shelter opening, their next act of structured compassion. The video that started it all continued to circulate, continued to inspire, continued to challenge people to be better. But the real story wasn't in the video. The real story was in the lives changed, the hope restored, the invisible people finally seen. The real story was that sometimes giving away your last meal plants seeds that grow into forests of change. And sometimes the people we save are exactly the people who save us in return. The end. The Amara Initiative. Everyone deserves to be seen. Everyone deserves to matter. Everyone deserves kindness. In memory of every person who's ever been invisible, and in honor of everyone who chose to see them anyway. Final message to viewers. This story is fiction, but the need is real. Right now, as you watch this, there are teenagers sleeping under bridges. Families living in cars. Veterans without shelter. People who've become invisible to society. You don't need $1 million to make a difference. You just need to see someone others have stopped seeing. To offer kindness when you have little to give. To remember that we're all one bad month, one lost job, one catastrophe away from needing help ourselves. What will you do today to see the invisible? How will you be someone's Amara? The world changes one act of compassion at a time. Be the change.